Hello YouTube, I'm Jamin B. Hammond, and welcome to the first ever episode of Making Music with Attitude, or MMWA for short. This will be a weekly series where I use a picture, emotion, or an idea to create a song. For this episode, however, I unfortunately lost 4 hours of footage from the beginning, so I won't be able to show you guys the whole process that went into this song. But anyways, I'll try to be uploading a new episode every Friday, and I hope you guys will enjoy the video. So to start things off, I'd like to just talk about the instrument rack, I guess. I'm gonna have to be filling in a lot of information, and a lot of what I'm saying is not gonna match what's on the video, so please bear with that. So when I started off, I knew the image had a romantic feeling, or like very calm, like a very relaxing feeling that's like, oh man, this is something to vibe with. So I chose the piano as one of the first instruments, and I knew that I wanted it to be an introductory instrument in this video or song. And so what I did was I recorded a short introduction, nothing too crazy, with a very interesting half-step chord progression. So each chord in the progression goes down by half steps, and it makes like a very it's a nostalgic progression, I'll say. Like, it's something you hear and it feels very nostalgic. So that's why I decided to start with that for my first one. And as I went along the way, I also knew that I wanted to have strings incorporated, because strings are very heavily reliant on a specific timbre or the way something sounds. And I knew that the timbre of strings was really befitting of a lot of romantic genre songs, so I knew that I wanted to have strings as well. And so I only recently started learning more about FL Studio, even though I've been using it for a decent amount of time already. I saw that there was a synthesizer called Flex that was really good in encompassing literally everything you'd ever need in production. And it's really good for, synthesizers, for drums, for string instruments like guitar, violins, orchestral stuff. There's also pianos, there's pattern-based synthesizers like drum patterns and loops that are also encompassed inside of this particular synthesizer, which is why I made that for this entire song. This entire song was essentially made from just that one synthesizer, aside from a couple drum sounds and a couple of sound effects that I use to fill in for more dramatic drumming noises. And so yeah, that was the first step of my song. I was trying to think of a very eased in introduction, which is why I used a very simple piano to make it. And yeah, that was pretty fun. And after I got past just the introduction with the piano, I knew that the verse or the melody encompassed inside of the verse was going to be a very important detail. Very important detail. Because melody is something that is, I would say, arguably the most important and memorable part of a song. It's like what the message of the song is, except instead of words, it's song and music and sound. And so I'm very bad at writing melodies. Melodies are extremely hard to write, for me at least. I don't know, there's probably a lot of people out there who find it really easy, but for me personally, I find it really hard to come up with melodies. Honestly, for me, it's easier for me to work around chord progressions per se, because progressions are, they're structured. There's something you can look at and be like, oh, this is how this is gonna go, right? A progression, it fits into the 4 bars and it's gonna go play out exactly like this. When I write my music, I write it based around progressions, which is why when I was writing this, I was thinking about all kinds of progressions that would fit the vibe of the song very well. And so when it came to writing the melody for the verse, that was a struggle for me. I knew the exact progression I wanted to use, but I just spent hours trying to think of what would sound good with this. And so with that amount of time, I was just trying out a whole bunch of different melodies, different patterns, different notes, different syncopations, rhythms, and I finally found something that I was happy with. And so I moved on, and then I realized that I wanted this song when I started writing it, and I got past the initial introduction that I wrote with the piano and the verse with the strings. I knew that I wanted this to encompass many things about like what romance was about. Me personally, I'm not very familiar, but I know that romance can definitely be a roller coaster of emotions, right? Like a huge spectrum of different energies that come out of it. And so I wanted this song to encompass that, like, because there's that time when romance is like, it's very gentle, it's very soft, it's very comforting and soothing. It's like, a warm blanket in the winter. It's just very nice to have. It's very comfortable and you just want to be with it. And there's other times where romance can be very, passionate, very powerful, and it can just be an explosive spectrum of different energies coming from whatever the source may be. And romance can also sometimes be tragic. There's moments where it can be sad, where it can hurt you more than it can help you. And going into this, thinking about all of these different spectra that comes from this one image and this one feeling that I got from this image, I knew I wanted to encompass at least most of what I thought was, associated with romance. And so when I was writing it out, I knew I wanted to experiment with chord progressions that would fit in the key signature, but also branch out into those different energies I talked about earlier. And so, yeah, as I was writing it, I knew that there was going to be times where it was going to be very soft, the melody was going to flow, it's going to sound very soothing. Other times where it might be hectic and chaotic, very loud and very aggressive even. And there are times where it's subtle but powerful at the same time. And there's just so many different ways of encompassing that, which is why I wanted to make sure I got all of that down when I wrote this song. And so when I was writing the chorus of the song, I knew that I wanted to have a very memorable melody. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm very horrible at writing melodies, and so I was getting frustrated, and I just decided to go with something that just sounded nice, even if it sounded kind of generic, which sadly a lot of this song does sound very generic. But hey, I guess I'll try better next time, or I just get better, I don't know. But yeah, writing this song was very stressful because I was gonna give myself a week's worth of time to write this, Monday to Thursday, and then Friday for cleanup and editing the video. But yeah, this week, a lot of stuff happened, and Monday and Tuesday I was very busy, and so I wasn't able to start writing this song or working on it until Wednesday. And so I essentially had -2 days of my original plan to write out this song. So there's a lot of parts in this song where I thought it didn't flow well, it didn't sound all too good, or if it just didn't vibe with the energy that I was going for. But this is the best that I could have done, I think, with the amount of time I had. If it sounds bad, I'm sorry. Like I mentioned in my introductory video, I'm an amateur, I'm still very new to the whole music production thing, and so if something sounds bad, then like I said, I'm sorry again. I'll try to get better so I can make some stuff that you guys would like to listen to and to like chill and vibe to, because it's my ultimate goal. I want to make music to like help you guys out there, as I said in my video, when you need something to listen to help you get through the day, or you just want something nice, ear candy, something like that. And so yeah, another big thing about the chorus was that I decided to incorporate drums. And so when writing this song, a big question in my mind was, should I use drums or not? Because if I wanted to encompass that romantic feeling, it would almost have to become like a ballad, right? Very soft song, lullaby-ic, very, very subtle, not too crazy, right? And so I was thinking, should I even use drums in this song? Because I knew that drums immediately can change the energy of a song. But as I mentioned earlier, I realized drums would be really good actually in emphasizing that the chaotic and strong energy in romance that I talked about earlier. And so I decided to use them after all, and I think it was a good idea because a lot of parts of the songs would not be nearly as powerful or as effective without the drums that I put in. And for the drums themselves, I was heavily debating as well whether or not I wanted a more synthetic/electronic sounding drum kit, or if I wanted to use a more acoustic kit. And so initially when I first started writing the chorus here, I actually wanted to use an acoustic kit because I thought ballady kind of style, let's make it using an acoustic kit. And so I tried using an acoustic kit and I just really didn't like how it sounded. It sounded too much like a generic ballad, which most of this song does, but I wanted to try diversifying because music is a creative medium and you're not restrained by anything, right? You can do whatever the heck you want with your song. It's just artistic expression. And so I was like, you know what? let's try something interesting. And so I was looking through the drum pads in the instrument packs that I would normally look for when I'm looking for drum sounds, but I realized that Flex probably had good drum sounds, which I was correct. It has a whole library, in fact, dedicated just to drum sounds. And so I pulled up that library and I was looking through the different sounds. There was a lot of good ones, but none of them really fit the mood of this project until I went under a different library that wasn't the drum one, but it was in fact the one where I pulled out a lot of the instruments for this song. And I saw that there was a kick and a snare available. But yeah, I found that in that library. I was like, oh, let's see what this sounds like. And I thought it actually works really well. It kind of gave off an old retrospective vibe while also being very powerful. And so it was something that I thought would work really well. And so that was the primary drum kit that I used for the chorus. And yeah, I just experimented a whole bunch with different beats and what kind of patterns and what kind of rhythm I would want in the beats. And yeah, as I was writing up the chorus, I realized that the drums were definitely the right pick because it vibed very well with all the different instruments that I ended up using inside of it. So to conclude my dumb ramblings about the production of this song, I just wanted to say my take on this was to make sure that all the instruments incorporated would be able to successfully branch into all the different emotions I mentioned earlier, and I think I was partially successful in doing so. And so, without further ado, here is Romance at Night, which is what I decided to call this song.